Coming up on this week's edition of the Stony Brook News.
The streets of Manhattan were flooded by the global climate strike.
Stony Brook Athletics started selling alcohol at games.
New York Fashion Week had some show-stopping moments.
All that and more on this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. Good afternoon, and welcome to the first Stony Brook News Show of the semester. I'm Karina Gary.
And I'm Nicolas Panisi. Students took to the streets all around the world Friday to protest governmental inaction over climate change. Willem Joseph has the story.
250,000 people flocked to downtown Manhattan this Friday to take part in the global climate strike. The strike gathered attention from protesters marching worldwide, from Afghanistan to Tokyo. A majority of them were students concerned for the future of their planet, with the New York City Department of Education offering excused absences for those who decided to take part. For many, the event provided a chance to spread awareness about the incoming danger of climate change, which scientists say is an imminent threat.
I feel like the least I can do is come up here on my day off and spend some time spreading some awareness about the climate change that's happening in the next 50 to 100 years for my grandchildren, potentially, and their children.
The strike began in Foley Park, with the protesters slowly making their way down towards the Battery Park. There, they were led by 16-year-old climate activist Greta Thunberg, who started weekly climate protests last year in Sweden and has become an icon for those who want to see a greener world.
We demand a safe future. Is that really too much to ask?
Thunberg was met with roaring applause as she declared that their words would be heard.
And if you belong to that small group of people who feel threatened by us, then we have some very bad news for you. Because this is only the beginning.
The protesters here have made one thing clear, that their voices will be heard, and that they have no plans to stop anytime soon. For Stony Brook News, I'm Willem Joseph.
The student tailgate before next Saturday's homecoming game officially has a new home, the Gym Road parking lot. This comes in the wake of the controversial decision to hold the alumni homecoming barbecue in the stadium parking lot, where the student tailgate is traditionally held. Upset students created an online petition to restore the homecoming tailgate to the stadium lot, but were unsuccessful. The change of tailgate venue will only be for the homecoming game.
Last night, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi announced that the House of Representatives is launching a formal impeachment inquiry into President Trump. The House is proceeding with the inquiry after allegations that President Trump withheld aid to Ukraine while pressuring the president of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden and his son. Trump claims the delayed aid has nothing to do with the conversation about the former vice president. President Trump is confident that Iran is responsible for the attack on Saudi Arabia's largest oil processing plant a few weeks ago. But is there more to the story? We turn to Nirvani Williams to explain the latest in the ongoing conflict between Yemen and Saudi Arabia.
On September 14, 2019, drone strikes hit two key Saudi Arabian oil facilities at the Aramco plant in Ab Qaiq, impacting oil production globally. With the capacity to process nearly 7 million barrels a day, these plants are pivotal to oil production around the world. The United States accused Iran of administering the drone strikes, while a Yemeni rebel militia group called the Houthi rebels publicly claimed responsibility for the attacks. But what does it all mean? The Trump administration said that Iran was behind the attacks on Saudi Arabian oil facilities by citing satellite photographs taken after the drone strikes. Analysts said that these images can't prove exactly where the attacks came from, what weapons were used, and who fired them. And American officials have offered no evidence beyond the photos. So, really? The origin source of the attack still remains unclear.
Even though we aren't clear on what's going to happen on the world stage,
Nicolas Panisi explores how this strike will affect us here at home.
Drone strikes on two Saudi Arabian oil facilities knocked down 6% of the world's oil supply. Since the attacks last week, The national average price for regular unleaded gasoline increased 10 cents to $2.66 a gallon. Although a dime may not seem like a major hit to the wallet, for commuters, the financial burden adds up. I'm on the Express Loop line heading to the South P lot, the largest commuter lot on campus, to hear how this is impacting students. Bernard Sanchez, a sophomore business management major, commutes from Coram to Stony Brook University 5 days a week.
You have to commit a pretty significant chunk of your day driving here and driving back.
Sanchez estimates that on an average week, he spends $40 to $45 at the pump. Between the cost of gas, maintenance, insurance, and car payments, about a third of Sanchez's monthly budget is eaten up by just showing up to school.
Every time you see prices go up like this, it leans into your wallet a lot more. It makes it a lot more difficult for you to want to go out to do things. Even coming to class, it's going to be tough to have a life and go to school if every time you're worrying about how much of your money is going to be going into your gas tank.
Sanchez is representative of nearly half of the student body that commutes to campus daily. According to Time magazine, drivers can expect an estimated 25-cent increase per gallon in the coming weeks. For Sanchez, that extra $15 at the end of the month could mean deciding between paying for a gym membership or not. Now it's time for the Roundup, a special edition segment where Kiki Sedaris breaks down the highs and lows of New York Fashion Week.
Good morning and welcome to the Roundup. I'm your host, Kiki Sedaris, and today we're talking New York Fashion Week, where designers previewed their spring and summer 2020 collections. Here are some of the most buzzworthy moments. Rihanna brought the heat to Barclays Center in Brooklyn on September 11th to showcase her lingerie brand, Savage X Fenty. Rihanna included models of all sizes and colors, amputees, and people with disabilities.
Well, inclusion has always been something that has resonated with me in all my brands.
The show comes almost a year after the iconic Victoria's Secret fashion show received the lowest ratings in history after the brand's chief marketing officer said that trans models do not fit the brand's fantasy. Fans also took to social media to compare the two shows. Many of them say that Fenty is the future of lingerie. And on Friday, September 20th, Amazon Video released a film on the show, which included performances from Halsey, Migos, DJ Khaled, and more. Outrage sparked on social media on September 15th with one of the most controversial collections of the season, Beastroy's Sam Sarah collection, which featured hoodies with bullet holes in them that read Stoneman Douglas, Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, and Columbine, the sites of 4 of the deadliest school shootings in the U.S. The brand's creative director, Brick Owens, wrote in an email to Today's Style that he was trying to make a bold statement, stating, "We want to make a comment on gun violence while also empowering the survivors of tragedy through storytelling in the clothes." The bold statements continued with Rebecca Minkoff's workwear presentation, which included model Mara Martin breastfeeding her daughter in a blue zebra print dress. The show was in partnership with Medela, a brand that specializes in breastfeeding products. Martin wrote on Instagram, "Being able to represent all working moms out there made the show so special for us. Shout out to all the working moms out there. We see you." That's all for this week's edition of the Roundup.
The Stony Brook football team really showed the Fordham Rams just what a Seawolf is this past weekend. Let's go to sports anchor Daniel Marcillo for more. Daniel?
Thanks, Karina. It was a successful weekend for Seawolves football as they took on the Fordham Rams at Laval Stadium on Saturday night. Stony Brook got things started in the middle of the first quarter as Tyson Lawton had a 5-yard touchdown to give the Seawolves an early 7-0 lead. 10-3 Seawolves halfway through the second quarter as QB Tyquell Fields connects with Isaiah Givens on a 35-yard score to give Stony Brook a 2-touchdown lead. Gene Constant only returned 1 punt on the night, and boy was it a big one. With about 6 minutes left in the first half, Constant weaves through the defense to return the punt all the way back to Fordham's 5-yard line. The 71-yard punt return put Stony Brook in a prime position to score once again. The Seawolves took advantage of the great field position as Givens struck again for his second TD of the game. Fast forward to the fourth quarter as Constant used his speed again to beat Fordham's defense for a 55-yard touchdown to extend the blowout to 38-3. Both teams would tack on another touchdown to finish with a 45-10 score as the Seawolves picked up their third win of the season. Fields was a very efficient 9 for 12 in the air with 3 touchdowns. On Saturday, the Seawolves will play Rhode Island and look to move to 4-1 on the season. Seawolf football and basketball fans can now enjoy beer and wine while watching the games. Corey Aline has the story.
This past Saturday, Stony Brook Athletics introduced a new addition to its program. And it wasn't a new recruit, but rather an item you can purchase at the concession stand, only if you're over 21. With an announcement last week, the initiative came as part of Stony Brook's pilot program to, quote, enhance fan experience.
Well, many Division I programs across the country have adopted alcohol sales into the fan experience at their venues. And so, as schools brought it into their venues, they had less issues with binge drinking and hospital transports because it was more controlled within the stadium environment. So we felt like we were prepared. We had all of the knowledge from other schools, and that it made sense for us to try it on a pilot basis.
There were concerns regarding the initiative given the school's connection to the Red Watch Band, a program founded by the university in 2009. But those worries have since been alleviated as the two parties met before the start of the season to get on the same page.
No more than 2 drinks at a time when you're walking up there. You have to have your ID. You have to have a bracelet on. No alcohol is actually allowed in the student areas of the arena and the football stadium. So it's really trying to reinforce yes, if you're over 21, you are legally allowed to consume alcohol. Be smart about it. Be safe. We want to make sure everyone wakes up the next morning.
To further the efforts to deter students from binge drinking, the only concession stand that is allowed to sell alcohol is located north of the student section, over 150 yards away.
It's one element of an overall fan experience that we hope to build.
For Stony Brook News, I'm Kwari Aline.
The annual fall concert, Back to the Brook, has been canceled for the second year in a row. A statement released by the undergraduate student government said that the cancellation is because the intended venue, the Island Federal Credit Union Arena, is unavailable due to construction. USG Treasurer Adrian Ortega told us USG did look into other venues on campus, but tickets would have cost more.
We're being more proactive so that way we can look for more dates as well as making sure that the arena is available.
That's all we have for this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. I'm Karina Gary.
And I'm Nicolas Panisi. Have a good day, Seawolves.